You get so passionate about your product. I try to figure out first, like, where does it break? If they don't pay you and you have no cash, you have no business.
Like sometimes it just doesn't work.
If the math doesn't work on it, it's not going to work, is how I've always found it. My old business partner, we put God first, and we genuinely mean that. And so, like, if there's a deal that comes by, I mean, I literally am having a conversation with a guy today, and I'm like, the way that you're treating us is not right. At this point, it doesn't matter to me. Relationships are so important for me. I'd rather have a few really, really close friends. And that's honestly like how I do it in business.
One of the traps is just figuring out if you have a fundamentally sound business model. Quick thank you to our sponsor, The Gents Place. What is The Gents Place? Imagine a country club meets speakeasy meets barbershop. If you're interested in owning and running a business that you can actually be proud of, one built with confidence, community, and consistency, this is worth a look. With top location performance exceeding $1.4 million in gross sales, they are at the cutting edge of their industry and franchising in 30 plus states across the U.S. If that lights a fire for you, go to tgpfranchising.com, complete the form, and book an intro call to learn more about owning your very own location of The Gents Place. Okay, guys, welcome back to the Untrapped Entrepreneur. I have Nick Hall here, actually a Dallas guy, so I appreciate that. You know, interview people from all over the world, so nice to have a Dallas resident. Or Dallas-Fort Worth resident, right? Because we're broken up into like 50 different cities.
That's right.
But Nick is a serial entrepreneur and Amazon growth expert and the founder of Revive Amazon Partners. Nick puts God first in all he does and believes relationships are much more important than transactions. Totally agree with that. I'm glad you said that. His priorities are God first, then wife, then kids, then work, and then all the other things. Nick, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks, Ben. I appreciate it.
Yeah, great to see you virtually. We just met in person not too long ago. Hopefully many more meetings to come. So before we talk about the Amazon business, Revive, give us a little bit of background on your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking with my wife's mom this last week, and she's like, why do you just love working? You just love whatever. And I'm like, well, since I was like 12, I was looking up like how to become rich. And I was like, looked at the billionaire list back in the day, and there was like, I don't know, 100 people, or I was looking at the top 100, and I was like, how do all of them get rich? And at first I thought it was all about money or whatever. Later I came to find that, like, when I was in high school, I worked a job, and in high school, you know, the average wage for us was, you know, a little bit above minimum wage, maybe $8 an hour. And I was like making $14. And so I felt good about it. But what I would do is I would do it kind of the Michael Dell way, is I'd go on Craigslist and I'd put listings out of MacBooks, and I would sell these, and then I go find them, and then I'd get it for them. And if I made $100 or $200, you know, back then for me, I'm like, $100 is like 8 hours if you take out taxes and, you know, whatever. And so I started doing that more and more and more. And I was like, this just doesn't make sense to me. Why am I working at an hourly rate that I can make this money? It's really easy. It doesn't feel like work, all this stuff. So anyways, through college, I started, first business I started was a company called Dorm Steps, and it was grocery delivery to dorms. This is like literally the same time that Favor went out. And so it just shows you execution. My execution did not work. I think we made $154 period. I think we had like 2 or 3 orders. Maybe if you want to call like
dozens of dollars, man.
Dozens of dollars. Zero profit, quite a bit loss, but and you know, so anyways, but it was really interesting kind of going through that. Then, and I did that with a business partner, and then I launched a window cleaning company. And really all I was looking at there was, I want to get into something that's like really low cost, really low risk. If I don't get any sales, I'm okay. I put $150 in that business. I think I made 15 grand in a summer. Well, at the time I was making $10 an hour. And so to me, I'm like, I was making more with one job at night than I was for, you know, 2-3 days of work. And then I took a semester off and went to Deloitte, and, you know, just was totally not my style. I cannot do this. I'm not overly professional, if you can't tell. And
were you in the cubicle?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I don't mind getting in early and staying late and everything, but I'm like, gosh, just sitting here doesn't make sense. I'm efficiency. I'm like, get in, get out, do your thing, whatever. And so then after that, my my old business partner, Vita5, which we sold that 2.5 years ago, was like, came to me with an idea of, hey, let's do custom gummy vitamin packs. And again, at school, we were always told like, get super, super creative. And I think maybe we interpreted that. I think just take what works really well and change one small thing. That's the one thing that I would change, because in the first number of years, it was rough. Like our first year, we made $7,000, second year, $17,000. Like it was not much money and we couldn't figure any of it out. Well, then we started to figure it out, built up the e-commerce to multiple 7 figures, did multiple 8 figures over time, built up our Amazon, then went 0 to 25,000 points of distribution within Target, and then, everything on the back end. But what I'll say, and I know, talking conversation on this stuff, then I started an Amazon agency after selling that business, 2 completely different businesses. Well, this business I'm in now is way simpler than that business. And so to me, one of the biggest things with business in general is just, does the business model work? Because I think that I was probably more talented as an entrepreneur back then in a certain sense, because you had to do everything, your operations, your supply chain, your inventory management, your financing, your cash flow, go through all that stuff. My business now, sales and marketing. That's it. Really, it's sales and operations, but my operations is my marketing.
Which I imagine you found through your entrepreneurial journey where your strength was.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've just honed in. I mean, you had to do all the ops and product development and sourcing and all of that and all of the sales side. But you figured out kind of where your sweet spot is.
Well, and that's what I found. Like we got 25,000 points of distribution within 2 years, which is insane for any CPG company. But to be completely honest, I don't know how to sell through at retail. Like, how do I get more turns per store per week? I don't know. When the person at Walgreens didn't put it on shelf, I can't go visit 2,000 Walgreens doors and make sure their employees are doing it right. So
yeah, a little bit easier to tweak the Amazon product listing than visit 1,000 Walgreens.
That's exactly right. Yep.
Yeah, makes sense. Let's talk about the business model, like just figuring that out. You mentioned that in the show notes, one of the traps is just figuring out if you have a fundamentally sound business model. Like what kind of traps did you run into there?
Well, I think so many people, and even myself, and we'll speak Vita5 and then we'll talk Revive, is you get so passionate about your product, and everyone says you should be passionate about blah, blah, blah. And I mean, maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. I just enjoy business. It's just fun for me. But to me, I'm like, I'm not loyal to the business idea. If things need to shift, they need to shift. And so like when I look at a business model, I try to figure out first, like, where does it break? Because our e-commerce really, so we had this investor and he's worth $2.something billion today. And we were like, oh, he's not in the same business as us. And so like, we would agree with certain things, but then we're like, I don't know if we should do that because he actually knew substantially more than we thought because he understood a business model. And we were sitting there and we're like, we got Target. That's amazing. And we'll be able to sell our business for this much more because of Target. And he's like, I don't care at all about Target. He's like, your e-commerce business brings you in a 30% margin end of the day after marketing and this and this and this. He's like, that's a good business. He's like, Target, I don't care if they just give you $1 million PO. If they don't pay you and you have no cash, you have no business. And so that's where, like, honestly, this guy taught me more than anyone I've ever met just on the business model itself.
Yeah, I mean, I see. I have a friend of a friend who's launching a business that's a bunch of items in a box.
Yeah,
basically. And going through all of the margins, and I can see right away. I'm like, that's not going to work. You can't put that in the box
for sure.
Well, why? It's my best product, and everyone's going to love it. I'm like, because you're not going to make any money.
Yeah, for sure.
On it, like it just doesn't work. So you either have to figure out how to get it cheaper, switch to a different product, or just don't put it in there. But it doesn't matter how great it is. Like sometimes it just doesn't work.
If the math doesn't work on it, it's not going to work is how I've always found it. And it's okay to have like some investment. And this is why I think understanding the business model is so important. I've got a good buddy of mine who's a builder. And he's like, the only reason that I was able to do what I'm doing, he's 32 and he does 75 homes a year. And he's like, the only reason I was able to do that is because my father-in-law helped me with the first 15, 20. And it took me 10, 12 years to like build up this. And I'm like, well, when you look at the cash flow, that's what it is. Like if you don't have $1 million, $2 million to go put into a bunch of houses and then go invest everything back into it, it's not going to work. And that's the same on CPG.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to play devil's advocate because my son, 18-year-old son, is reading Amazon book. I forget which book it is, but it's a book about Jeff Bezos. And he comes to me last week and he's like, Dad, Amazon didn't make money for a long time. Like they lost billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you were old enough to remember this, but I remember when Amazon early on was in the business, all of the investors, Wall Street, everyone's like, this has got to make money at some point.
Yeah.
Like, is Amazon going to survive because it's not going to make money? But Bezos knew, like, there was stepwise. Like, I need to get enough users in the platform, and then this happens, and this happens, and then I get my cost of goods. And, like, he saw a pathway there. He had to lose a couple $1 billion in order to get there. So the math wasn't mathing, like, right away.
For sure.
But I think people see that story and it's such an anomaly. You know, like it's like you can't bet on that. Well, Amazon lost $2 billion. I can lose $2 billion and then it'll be successful.
What I think with like the Amazon or Uber or go through all these like massively successful multi-billion. I'm obviously not a billionaire. I've done fairly well financially. My business model is for like the average Joe that wants to make substantially more than where they're at. And my whole take on it is like, I love the sexy business and I made no freaking money in that dang thing. But if I would have built it up to a certain amount, we could have sold it for $700 million. I don't know if I could have though. That's why we exited. I felt like I grew it to where we could and then we exited. And so the story of that, it is, I mean, and what's crazy with Jeff Bezos back in the day is that wasn't common. Like losing money all the time was like, now this is common. Like a ChatGPT has raised so much freaking money and Anthropic is raising all this money, these crazy valuations. And I don't know if they're worth it or not. Obviously, I mean, people are putting money in, so I guess it is technically, but I'm like, it's like more common now. Like Uber, they knew, hey, we're going to lose X billions of dollars and then we're going to be worth 50 billion. And I'm like, I'm not that much of a risk taker.
So maybe that's the asterisk, listen to what Nick says, unless the asterisk is, unless you have like $10 billion to lose.
Yeah.
Then maybe you can go down that path.
That's right.
Hey, the other thing that you mentioned, and I read it at the very beginning in the intro, is priorities.
Yep.
Like we are forced as business owners to be distracted with all kinds of things, but certainly like there's not coaching in high school and then in college to put God first.
Yeah.
Right. And then like to put your family, your wife, and then your kids after that. Like that's a very ordered way of living life that I agree with.
Yeah.
But the rest of society, like you didn't learn that in elementary, high school, college, probably didn't learn it from a lot of the people that you do business with.
Right.
Life just seems so disordered. Like how do you keep that together? Because I think you do a really great job, and just knowing you for a very brief amount of time, I think you do a really great job, and most people don't.
Yeah, I think that everyone gets twisted by certain things. And so like I bring it back to like, gosh, me and my wife, had a very, very similar story, but we were both single for like 7 or 8 years before we met each other. And I just got super hardcore. I'm not dating to date. I have no interest in that. It seems like a total waste of time. I'm 25, 26, whatever years old at the time. And I'm like, these are the values that I have. And I'm not going against it. And so I would have friends that would come to me and they would say, hey, I want to set you up with one of my friends. And I'm like, no, because of this. And they're like, well, dang, that's so harsh. And I'm like, well, let me tell you something. A lot of people talk about how marriage is so hard. I've been married for almost 5 years, so I'm not 20 years in. So maybe it does get substantially harder, but it hadn't been hard for me. But what I will say is that our values are so aligned in everything. My old business partner, we put God first, and we genuinely mean that. And so like, if there's a deal that comes by, I literally am having a conversation with a guy today, and I'm like, the way that you're treating us is not right. At this point, it doesn't matter to me. Another thing that we talk about is relationships over transactions.
Yeah.
We can have good relationships. We want to genuinely partner with amazing people, but like, it's got to start from that. And like, I look at it as like the foundation. And if you build your house on sand, what happens? Right? It collapses. And so you've got to have a super strong foundation. And so I have to force this for sure. And from all of the other factors that go within, for me, it's Christianity, and then my wife, and then my kids. So the reality, and while I say all that stuff, I say that partially to get it back through my head is it's usually kids. And then, and I'm like, gosh, they're nonstop yelling, telling me to do stuff, whatever. But I've just found that it allows me to, I don't have to think as much. When someone comes to me, and I work with a bunch of people that are Jewish and other denominations and all these different things, and that's not the point to it. The point to it is like, these are the values that we're going to go by. And so I reward people on my team if they come to me and they say, hey, I don't feel as if we can actually genuinely help this person. I don't feel like it's right to do. I'm like, that is the coolest thing ever. Now, I literally, like, if I was to have investors, they'd be like, what are you doing? You're losing money on this client. Why would you cancel someone because of blah? But I'm like, that's the right thing. And that's where we get referrals from other things. It's a long-term play. And the reason it really kind of hit me was my grandpa died at 84. Within a couple of years, I had a buddy of mine at 24 that got hit by a car and died. And then I had a friend's mom who died to suicide at 54. And so 24, 54, and 84, all totally, different situations. And I'm like, I want to be living the greatest good for the longest term. So the decisions I make today are not just for a win today or tomorrow, but are for a win if I got taken today, tomorrow, whatever.
Yeah. So much pressure to, make money, then do the right thing, right? Compromise on your values and kind of circle back later. So kudos to you for doing that. One of the things I saw on your LinkedIn today too is routine.
Yep.
That helps a lot, right? So if you're going to put God first, like you should probably like act like that. Right?
Absolutely.
Right. Read your Bible and then do that, and then do this, and then do this.
Yep.
So that's what I found. And like when I saw your LinkedIn post this morning, you have to have discipline around that. You can't just say it because a lot of people say that and then they do completely different things.
Totally. And I'm always having to be. I put the Christianity thing out there publicly. I was talking to a friend of mine that is like against all religion. He had experiences when he was younger that just threw him away from all religions and sees stuff on the news and whatever. And he thinks that people that say they're Christian or they're Jewish or they're whatever are trying to get touted as I'm better than. And I said, oh, mine's the exact opposite. Mine's to hold myself accountable because I know like I'm a broken person. I'm sinful. I do things that like I shouldn't be doing, but I've got to hold myself accountable on that. And that is one of the things. Like, to be honest, it'd be more fun to hop up in the morning and look at TikTok right away or Facebook or whatever social media nonsense, news, whatever. But I'm like, I've got to be grounded.
Yeah.
Now, where I go wrong is I sometimes just check the box. And then my wife goes, well, what'd you read this morning? I'm like, wow, I definitely opened my Bible app, but
I definitely read.
I definitely read retained 0. I've got to fix that part.
I'm glad you mentioned that too about the people that you do business with, because, in my primary business at the Gents Place, we serve anybody that walks in the door and is willing to pay and treat people kindly and everything. And for me, I think similar to you, it's not about necessarily doing business with someone that believes exactly what I believe, but when someone that you're doing business with violates your personal values, like it doesn't matter what they believe in, it's just completely incongruent with how you operate, what you believe. So if someone's gonna, yell at you, on the, during the process of maybe a proposal or something like that, or berate you or something, you're like, I don't care what you believe. You could be a Christian or a Jewish or I don't care. I just don't do business like that. Right.
That's exactly right. And those are the hard conversations. And, I used to have an issue with it because I was, like the scared entrepreneur, which most people when they start as entrepreneurs are scared because they've got to pay their bills and they've got to do, they've got to have all these things aligned. And, early days entrepreneurship is not fun. No, I don't think anyone would look back and be like, oh, nowadays, like they look at Ben Davis and they're like, dang, dude, you got the life. And you're like, okay, built to like this, fortunate, thankful, but also early years, I don't think you would want to be in my spot.
No, you know what? The biggest trap I ran into as an entrepreneur, and even I was at a startup before I launched my own business, was being a people pleaser and telling people how available I am 24/7, anytime, call me, here's my cell phone, here's my email, and responding right away and dropping everything. And you talk about being disordered, you're having dinner with your wife and your kids and like, oh, I gotta go, I gotta get this call. That was, I don't have any regrets, but like that is what I would one of the biggest traps for early entrepreneurs. I would say, like, don't say that. I'm available 24/7 if you need me. I hear that. I heard it recently, and I'm like, no, don't do that.
Yeah. And I'm honestly not great with it because it's such a, like, as much as it's a good thing to be driven and, on it and go through the stuff and do it or whatever, there's also this like balance. And so I struggle with it still, but I've had to put in things in my life where I'm like, I will make dinner every night with my family. You know me better than others out there or whatever, but like I was talking to someone a number of weeks ago and they were like, man, do you like working at home? And I'm like, I've built my life purposely like this. Now, I by the grace of God, truthfully, but like me and my wife, we sat down and we said, I can either get a job earlier on and get paid X dollars, or I can get paid a little bit less and do this entrepreneurship thing. And I will travel twice a year with whatever, and I will do, and so all this stuff aligns fully with the God first, then family. Because I know my personality. If my wife and kids were to go out of town, I'll just work the whole time. I like working. It's fun.
Same. I love it.
It's so bad.
Well, I don't think there's enough praise and gratitude that's given to the non-entrepreneurs that are working in these entrepreneurial ventures and filling in all of these gaps. Like, God created the world and society and all of these different positions, right, for us to be complementary. Like, the guy's about to pick up my trash at any moment. And I know people that have been picking up trash for 20, 30 years. They love it.
Yep.
They get to work outside.
Yep.
They get to work out. They get sun. Like, they don't have to deal with all the stuff that I have to deal with.
For sure.
And thank God, like, we have all of these different, positions and complementary pairings. And so I do want to acknowledge that, because so much of the entrepreneurial content that's out there is, here's how I made it. Don't work for anybody your whole life. Yeah. Some people, that is an absolute nightmare.
Oh, for sure.
Like, to be on the harsh edge of reality is what my former boss said. Yeah. And to, like, not know, you wake up in the morning and no one's telling you what to do and you have no idea where to start. Like, that's stressful for some people. Like, I want structure.
For sure.
Just tell me where to go, what to do next. And everybody needs, like, we all need that.
Yeah. Well, and that's what, like, I have so many friends. So we're in Heath, which is 30, 45 minutes outside of Dallas, for those that don't know. And
one of the 50 cities in Dallas.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. And it's this really weird area because we've got normal neighborhoods that I live in. And then there's like literally neighborhoods. And this is through like probably a lot of places. I'm just probably clueless to a lot of, other areas or whatever. But I'm like, there's neighborhoods of 150 homes that are all $3 million and up. And I'm like, you're not just working some like classic corporate job or whatever. Yeah. And so we'd always go through and I just would nerd out and just be like, curious what they do. Entrepreneur, doctor, lawyer, entrepreneur, this. Mm-hmm. And so, but it was so interesting. Most of the businesses that they ran, super simple, like, I'm not saying easy, but super simple, like construction business, real estate business, law, landscaping, like all these different things or whatever. And what I think a lot of people look at is they see Ben Davis or Nick Hall or whoever it may be at the stage today. And I know some like very, very, very wealthy people, probably as you do too. And I would never trade my life with them. In fact, they've said I would trade my life with yours more for age thing than anything. I think that they like their private jets. And I would take a private jet. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I do know that like there was a cost on it. And so and I've thought that everyone can be a multimillionaire and all this stuff. And I don't believe that now, and not in a wrong way, but like also some people,
most people don't want it.
Yeah. It's like people may want the big house or whatever, but like, is it really better? Is it really like, I don't know. There's just so many other things in between. Me and my wife, we always talk about like, we always have to stay at a place that we can go back to apartment living and drop back to nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I employ a ton of cosmetologists and barbers. And when I first started in that business 17 years ago, I was coaching and training and leading people to be me.
Yeah.
I'm same. Like, what do you mean you don't want to work an extra 5 hours this week? Yeah. You'll be busy. You'll make all this money. They're like, I teach yoga part-time. Like, I don't want to disrupt my yoga practice. And I'm going, how stupid is that? They're like, they want to do yoga part-time and not make more money. Yeah. And I had nearly my entire team walk out on me because
wow.
I was so misaligned trying to make them an entrepreneur.
Yep.
And now I have such a deep level of respect for people that have balance and boundaries. Whether it's entrepreneurs that have balance and boundaries, like that's like a superhuman,
Yeah.
But like people that are like, I want to work 30 hours a week cutting hair and 10 hours a week teaching yoga, and the rest of my time spend time with my family, or whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
I truly admire people that can say no to opportunity because there's something more important.
It's that story of the like fisherman that's talking to the investment banker, and the investment banker comes out, or investor or whatever, and he's like, what are you working so much for? The fisherman to the investor. And he's like, because I have money in this house and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, but what's the end goal? And he's like, well, when I retire, I'm going to fish. And he's like, exactly. But I get to do that every day. And I'm like, it is so cool. Like I respect it in a different way. I can't do it. I'm really bad at like, I just genuinely love working. But like, well, where some people love football, that's like my love for business. Like on a Saturday, I don't mind grabbing a beer and going and digging into some data and figuring out what like, it's like,
but you're not going to spend, you're not going to spend 5-6 hours on the golf course.
Yeah. I wish golf was an hour.
Yeah. Same. I love golf, but I just can't do it.
Especially with commitments. Jesse Itzler, he always talks about, he's like, you've just got to change your priorities throughout life. And I'm like, I got 3 kids, 3 and under. And I'm like, that's just not, I don't feel like it's right for myself to do for my wife. I'm like, gosh, on the weekend, I want to hang out with them. But
yeah, same.
Everyone's got their own way.
Hey, I want to circle back to relationships over transactions, because I do feel like, especially early on, but I still see it with people who've been in business for 20 years. They're just chasing the deal, and they've burned through so many relationships. When you meet somebody, and maybe this is just me, but like usually within a minute or two, I can figure out which bucket they're in.
Yeah.
Like, are they just trying to get a deal done?
Yeah.
Or do they actually care about the human on the other side? And I just choose to do business with like people that care about. And I was on a Zoom call yesterday, and this guy, they're like, I'm potentially buying their product, and he immediately, I was like, hey man, where are you based out of? And he's like, oh, I'm in Florida. I'm moving to California soon. So anyway, this and this and this and this about the product. And I'm like, okay, cool. Do you have any kids?
Yeah.
It was just so uncommon for him to be presented with someone that actually wanted to develop a relationship. Do you have like a filter, a process? Is it just gut instinct? Like, how do you manage through all of that?
Yeah. I mean, for me, life is so much, I'm very extroverted. Like my wife and I in the early days of our marriage, we didn't understand this at the time. This was the hard part for our marriage, was we're both super extroverted. And if friends didn't want to hang out on a Friday afternoon, we'd get irritated. And we're like, this is so annoying. This is so lame. And then we started having kids, and it got even worse. And we're like, wait, what? And so the neighborhood we live in is strictly for stuff like that or whatever. But relationships are so, so important for me. I'm like, I've always been the person of like, I'd rather have a few really, really close friends / like a close group of people that I genuinely believe in, like we hold the same values and all of that, than just a bunch of like, have a hard time even getting a call to them. And that's honestly like how I do it in business. Like just went to an expo, and I'm like, I could have gone transactionally and hit every booth and try to sell. And honestly, I don't think that anyone actually enjoys that. No one likes being sold to. And second is like, I just don't like, that's just not my personality. Like I want to be legitimate friends with certain people that hold similar values and all this stuff. And even some people that don't. I'm like, I just think it's an opportunity for us in so many different ways. And I'm like, that's where I wouldn't do really well in this current business that I'm in if I had investors. Because it is more transactional than it is relational at times. And to me, I'm like, I genuinely believe in relationships. And realistically, relationships end up helping in the long term. So everyone's got a friend or meets a person or whatever it may be. But I'm like, if you can have just a real genuine relationship throughout it, makes life a whole lot easier.
Yeah, it does. It's thinking about the long term. Like I just referred business over to a guy that I developed a relationship with. And I told him in the meeting 2 weeks ago, we couldn't do business with each other. We like realized this isn't a good fit. But I said, hey, let's stay in touch. And I'm sure that at some point I can refer business to you.
Yeah.
And he put up a LinkedIn post, which is really nice, and said, hey, here's all the people I met with over the last couple of weeks. He just moved from Japan, lived in
cool.
Japan for 20 plus years, moved to Dallas, Fort Worth. And he tagged me in there and like appreciated all the time that these people spent with me, tagged me in there. And I'm like, what a nice guy. And,
So cool.
we couldn't do business together. And then sure enough, I referred him business yesterday.
How cool is that?
And he's
So
just
cool.
like, dude, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I just met him and I could have referred to a number of people, but I really appreciated like the time he spent, even though we couldn't do business together, acknowledging the time we spent publicly. I'm like,
So cool.
I'm going to give business to that guy. I'm going to try to, right?
And
so
there was someone that told me at one point, they were like, you never know who the person is until something bad happens. Whether that's through divorce or a business relationship that breaks up or you don't get the deal or whatever it may be. And I'm like, it's actually probably one of the realest things I've ever seen. Is that when things go bad is when you find out who they really are. And it's like, he didn't get the deal and he's still praising you of like, hey, this was so amazing. Thanks for spending the time on me, whatever. And you're like, dude, I didn't even give you business. Like, he's genuinely a great guy.
Yeah. Yeah. He was just grateful for the time.
So cool.
Right. He was grateful for developing relationships.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about current business.
Yeah.
And I know you've got a bunch of different clients. Sounds like you're somewhat industry agnostic. If you and I are going to do business together, I'm not, people aren't eating food out of pomade cans yet, unless that's what they want, man. Unless that's what the algorithm says. We'll start putting dog food in Rascal pomade cans if we have to.
That's awesome.
But I'm looking forward to doing some business with you on Amazon. But what is your sweet spot in terms of clients, just for our listeners that want to sell more on Amazon? What type of business do you want? What type of business? Like, hey, don't call Nick Hall if you're trying to sell this on Amazon.
The biggest thing that I do is I always try to vet each product, company, all of that before, and then, or I'll have a call and try to figure out all of that. I would say like, 1 to 50 million in revenue is usually where we'll start people and we'll grow them substantially from there. But that's not the truth. Like I have a number of companies that are smaller and some companies that are bigger. Really at the end of the day for us, what can be sold on Amazon, we take products that are substantially better than the competition in the market. And then we boost them through all of the things that we've learned through it. And so if you've got a CPG company that's really great now, what's hard is if someone's doing $500 a month and, there's just fees. My whole way is my product is my people, and my people have to be substantially superior to everyone else. And so they cost a lot more. Now I still try to give best value for what it is, which is exactly how people do things on Amazon. If you're pricing your product 5 times more expensive and it's worse than competition, don't think you're ever going to win.
Yeah.
Same thing with me. I can't price myself 5 times more expensive and be worse than. So I try to do the opposite. I try to be like really good value. We'll win on the upside, but you're getting really, really, really good people that go through intense training and have years of experience and all of that.
Mm-hmm. So low volume, under 4 stars on a product.
It's tough.
Probably not.
Almost never will I take a product that has under 4 stars. There's a couple of categories that you'll find it's just the market average is a 3.8 star. Almost all others, you've got it. And I always just say, just compare yourself to the competition. The exact competition of what you are. You want to be above that. If you're not, make your product better by looking at their reviews, your reviews, and you'll figure out the things that you need to fix.
You know what for sure has average under 4 stars on Amazon?
What's that?
Ice makers.
Really?
That have to. It's the worst, at the Gents Place, we buy all kinds of things, right? Equipment, refrigerators, barber chairs, everything. Ice makers. Please, someone listening, entrepreneurs out there.
Ice maker, that's good.
Make a commercial ice maker that can get like 4.5 stars on Amazon, has a great warranty.
Yep.
You will be a hero.
Why do you think that is?
They're just the worst made things. I think they have too many different components and things like that. Every one of them breaks. I've been doing this 17 years. We replace our ice makers all the time.
Really?
So anyway, that's my selfish ask for our listeners is someone please make an ice maker. Nick will sell it for you on Amazon.
That's right.
I will buy it. I'll buy all of them.
I'll buy one too.
That's right. Yeah, you should. You should. All right,
That's
brother.
awesome.
Well, hey, this has been a fun chat. I'm looking forward to getting to know you better too in person, and doing some business with you. But for everybody out there, Nick, where can we find you? Where do you want people to reach out?
Most of the stuff is on LinkedIn. I pretty much give my whole playbook to everyone out on LinkedIn, and then chat with whoever is, especially if they're trying to build a business. It's always fun for me.
Okay, awesome. All right, we'll throw your LinkedIn profile in show notes. Thanks again for your time, buddy.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben.
All right.